player. Can I just get the latest update on Harry's progress?
Yeah, good progress. Is happy with the progress. Of course, we are happy too. I think it's not a very optimistic thing to say that next week he should be playing. I think it will be just a consequence of his good evolution. So we are happy. We were a bit scared when everything happened, but now we are much more positive. And normally next week we play Everton midweek, City weekend. I believe for one of these matches he should be back.
Great. As you predicted, Jose, Dele didn't leave this transfer window. What does he need to do now?
Well, he needs to recover from his injury. He needs to be back to training, and he needs to have a fresh start because in the last few weeks he couldn't even training. So that's the most important thing. I had a good conversation with him yesterday. We spoke around this question that you asked me, and I think we found a very common ground. Let's say, it's an important period of the season for the team. Is an important period of the season for him also. We need him. We need a good Dele Alli, and we are just waiting for him to be back to normality, to be back to training with the team. It's not just Dele. When you look Dele, Kane, Gio, Lo Celso, we are speaking about players that without all three we miss a little bit of some creation, of some magic, let's say that, around the attacking areas. So we need him back, and I made that very sure to him. Of course, a conversation doesn't make miracles. A conversation doesn't put a player in great form or without any limitation in terms of fitness. But I believe that the conversation was maybe the extra motivation that he needed to be back as soon as possible and to become available for the team. We play Europa League very, very soon. We are in the Premier League playing, as you know, every week a couple of matches. We have the FA Cup. I don't believe that we will be on time for that one. We have a final to play in April, so we need a good Dele back, and I believe that when physically he is ready, I believe that we will be mentally in a good place to go for it.
From what you've seen so far, Jose, what do you make of Tuchel's Chelsea?
Chelsea's Chelsea. They changed the coach, but they didn't change the players. The players are, of course, lots of very good players, great potential in that squad. They had a good coach on Frank that was doing a good work with the team. They have a good coach now with Tuchel. That in spite he was coming from a league that you cannot compare with the Premier League, but he's used to work with players of high caliber. He's used to lead dressing rooms with important players. So I think he will fit well in a club like Chelsea.
You say a good manager, of course he is. What takes you from being a good manager to being an elite manager? What's the difference? Obviously winning the Champions League, maybe?
Winning the Champions League is history. But there are many great managers that they never won the Champions League. Sometimes it happens. With players, it's a little bit the same. the same thing. For me, one of the most incredible players of the last 20 years, Ibrahimovic, that is still being an amazing player with, I don't know, 39 years old, 40, I don't know, and he never won the Champions League. So that can happen, and it's not because of that you are not a phenomenal player or a phenomenal coach. What I think makes a coach is become elite, let's say that, is to be successful in the top leagues. Because to be successful in leagues of a different dimension, and I'm not speaking about Thomas, of course, and the French league is a very good competitive league, a part of Paris Saint-Germain, because Paris Saint-Germain plays in a different league. But I think the biggest challenge for a coach, and the ambition of every good coach around the world, is to work in the best leagues, and of course our league is in this moment the most challenging one.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you.
Well, can I just say, wonderful news today that the money that's been Spurs players have been fined for their breaches during COVID is being given to local hospital. I mean, that's a great move by the club, isn't it?
That's Tottenham, and I'm here for a year, and of course I'm here for a special year with the situation that we are at. But since I arrived, Tottenham doesn't stop to do great things for the community at different levels. At the same time, I want also to say that there is not one single player that is happy to be fined in the world. There is not one. But when the players understood that the fines were going to such causes, was the first time in my life that I saw players with a smile in their face after being punished with the fine. So congrats to the club, because they did amazing, and at the same time I also praise the players because their feeling was very, very positive when they understood that the mistakes, the fines were going in the right direction for the right hands.
You're very much involved in social media, Jose, and you're hands-on and you do it yourself. This week we've seen Marcus Rashford, Reece James, again suffering at the despicable hands of people who want to abuse people on social media. First of all, have you ever been abused by anyone on social media or criticised to a degree that's affected you?
I don't know. I don't know, because I don't read much. My relation with the social media is just about posting a picture, making a comment, and sharing something with the world. Apart of that, I don't participate much. But probably yes, and I don't know. But the reality is that must not be an easy thing to cope with. Can the platforms do something to help? I'm not, of course, an expert, far from it, but maybe they can. I believe that the easy anonymity protects people. When you are anonymous, you can do or tell or write things that you wouldn't do. So probably the platforms can help on that, and I'm sure that clubs and coaches, we always support our players in case of anything happen with them. But I believe that will be the platforms, the ones that can really, I'm not saying eradicate, but at least to help on it.
I was going to say, finally, what is your feeling or your emotion when a player comes to you and says, "Listen, this is happening to me, boss. What do I do?" I mean, is it obviously sympathetic, but you put an arm around them? I mean, how do you deal with that as emotionally yourself?
You know, with me, it happened just a couple of times with my players. Were not them telling me, was me knowing it and going to them. And you know, In my case, it was more football related. The offenses were more football related, so was easier to debate, was easier to speak about it. But when it goes in other directions, much more aggressive emotionally than football, I don't know if I have the qualities to do it. But club structures, of course, we would try everything to support.
Okay, we've got a George coming.
Concerned a bit about the creativity in your team without Harry Kane, and how will you solve it? And is that a key reason why Dele Alli could be so important for you in the next 6 months?
Harry is Harry, and it's not just about creativity; it's about dynamicas. The team has dynamicas that you lose. You lose these dynamicas when one player is missing. Everybody knows, every opponent knows, and even so, it's not so easy for them to block that connection, to block these dynamicas. So sometimes it's not just about being creative, because we have other players that they can create attacking situations. It's more about the dynamics that the team has, the stability that the team has with a certain way of play. So Harry is only one Harry, and nobody can replace him in terms of this dynamic. Dele is an attacking creative player, the same as Gio Lo Celso is, the same as Tanguy, and of course we need them all. Of course we need them all, and Tanguy was in the beginning of the season, where we were trying to make him a player. You know, when I say a player with a P capital, he's a player in all his dimension and potential. We had to start with him being a number 10. He didn't have the discipline, he didn't have the strength, didn't have the stamina to be a midfield player. And in that moment, we could say, well, is Tanguy or Dele in the team? Is Tanguy or Gio Lo Celso? In this moment, the evolution of Tanguy brought him in one direction where he's very complete, he's very good defensively too, he lasts the 90 minutes without any kind of problem. And if you remember last season, you remember clearly that Tanguy, even in short periods, he was struggling to keep that intensity. Tanguy now is a midfield player, and that opens a space where it's not anymore about Tanguy or Dele, Tanguy or Gio. Can be Tanguy and Gio, or Tanguy and Dele. So basically this is, I believe, a very good window of opportunity for them. We need them back. Gio is further to be back because his injury still will take a month or something like that. In Dele's case, I believe he's very close to back, but then he has to recover his fitness levels. But of course, we need the players.
And my second question was, did you see Sean Dyche's press conference yesterday? He said he finds press conferences very boring, and he was talking a lot about lookalike. So does Sean Dyche look like Mick Hucknall, and do you find these press conferences boring?
No, Sean knows what he's saying. The only thing I can say is that I hope that they don't qualify for Europe next season, because if they qualify to Europe, we will have a lot more press conferences, and then we will not cope with it. But he's a good colleague. I think behind that huge, strong body, you have a funny guy with a sense of humor. So maybe you and him, you had a good press conference and you enjoyed.
And he looks like Mick Hucknall?
I don't know. I really don't know. But I believe that he must be taller and stronger, and for sure, because he's a big guy.
Thank you.
He's the only player back to the group. He's the only one. So is Alfie Devine that leaves the group, and in spite of working with us, Hin and then Scarlett, now they work with us every day, but they go back to academy to play, and in this case the Vine will not be involved because Serge can occupy his space in the squad.
Check. If I'm right, I think the Europa League squad had to be put in yesterday. I just wondered whether you put Joe Rodon into the squad, and if you did, who had to come out?
We didn't. You know, it's a hard decision, but a decision where we wanted to show respect for the group. We wanted to show respect to the people that started the competition. Would be very, very hard for the group to cope with one of the players that was involved to be out. We kept Tanganga in spite of good possibilities. The kid had to go out on loan. We kept him because then Tanganga, Dyson, Sanchez, Dyer, Alderweireld, we have to do it without Rodon. We believe that by the emotional impact it has less impact on a player that was not part of the squad to stay out until the end of the season than a player that was part of it, a player that played the group phase, to get him and to change him. And we decided not to go in that direction. So is Joe the player that is still out, and of course Jetson and Gazaniga, they left, but they were not also in the list, so was not one single spot that was open. Was just a decision between Joe or another one, and we decided to give that stability to the group as a group.
And can I just ask you quickly, Tanguy Ndombele came off with what looked like a bit of a knock. Is he okay after that?
Okay. He's okay. He had really a knock, but no problem to play tomorrow.
Thank you.